Hey folks, 4RC here. Right, we're moving on to lighting of the axial SCX10 2012 Jeep Rubicon. The body shell's nearly finished. I've got the hardware back on and we're now going to fit LEDs into the model. There's going to be front headlights, back headlights, and then some indicators on the side. The standard axial kit gives you masks to mask off the headlights at the front, and also some nice little light buckets that seem to work quite well. On the back they give you some black pieces of plastic that just have stickers on. I'm going to try to convert those to LEDs, and this is an extra I've added on. These two indicator holders here are from an axial accessory set for light buckets that I'll put a link in the description. So first of all, let's look at the front. Light buckets. Now these are just polycarbonate. You have them in your kit. They'll be part of a big piece of Lexan like this. Obviously you spray it on the inside, and what I've done with mine is painted them with flake first of all, and then bright silver. Remember to peel off the overspray film. Now they have little domes in them. You can just cut those out either with a drill or a body reamer, and then poke your LEDs straight through. I've cut my holes a lot larger. The reason is I'm putting these in. These are chrome metal LED holders. You can get these on eBay and places like that. And what these will do is go through the holes, like one into there, and then you have a washer and a nut goes on the back, and then a smaller one. So that's a 5mm one. This is for a 3mm LED in the indicators. They go through there, and then you see on the back here you've got nuts to hold those on, and then your LEDs slide in as a 5 and then a 3, and then they have a little plastic bung that goes in to hold the pins apart. Now what you get with those, as you can see here, is a really nice kind of halogen headlight effect. I just think it looks a bit more scale and a bit neater. So when you put that into the back of the model, you're going to end up with something looking roughly like this, which I think is pretty good. Now these light buckets, you just fix double-sided tape, cut a very thin bit right around the edge. So I'm going to be sticking those on, and then once I've got those stuck and positioned nicely and then wired up, I'm going to be plaster dipping around all of that, partly to keep the water out of the LEDs themselves, but also to keep the water out of the light buckets. I don't want to be going through a stream and then finding I've got a puddle of water and condensation in there. So in theory we should be able to get those light buckets completely sealed up with a spray of plaster dip on top. Right, so the light buckets on the front are installed now. I decided to use the axial light buckets, not the dinky ones, primarily because the axial ones, they're Lexan, so you spray them on the inside, and it's got overspray film. Once you peel them off, you can actually get them looking quite nice and shiny, quite reflective, whereas the dinky ones, you spray them on the surface, on the face of the light bucket, so it's just not as shiny, not as reflective. Also, Axial say that you should mount these onto the body shell with double-sided tape. Cut thin strips, stick it around the edge of the light bucket, and then position it. I didn't want to go for that because imagine you've got your body shell here, and then you've put your light bucket in, and you're lining it up, and you stick it on. Oh, it's not quite right. Oh, damn! It's now stuck. Instead, I just went for a thin lick of glue on the inside of the light bucket. Use whatever glue you like sticking onto your Lexan with. This is EvoStick Serious Glue. Whether or not you can get that in other countries apart from the UK, I don't know, but whatever glue works for you. But that's repositionable. It's a bit like glue that used to be available called Fender Mender or Shoe Goo. Anyway, that gives you a bit of maneuverability for a few minutes, so you can align your buckets and get the LEDs looking really nice and square coming out the holes. And then once that was dry, I ran another lick all the way around to get that completely sealed up, and then I'm going to plaster dip on top. Before they were actually stuck on though, I fitted these stainless steel sort of chromed up LED holders, which look, I think, pretty damn good, a bit like xenon headlights. 3mm LEDs for the indicators, 5mm LEDs for the main lights, white ones for the main, orange for the indicators. In addition to the front light buckets, I've got the side ones now plumbed in with 3mm orange LEDs ready for wiring up. The rear buckets I haven't got into yet. What I have finished off now though is something I'm really pleased with. These are big splodges of hot glue here. Not hot anymore, they've dried. But under there we've got one 3mm blue LED there, and then two 3mm blue LEDs here. Each one has a 150 ohm resistor on, and they all feed into one single wire here. And when you put 6 volts in that, you get, I can't show you right now because I don't have a battery to hand, but I'll show you later on in this video. Behind the central console, this kind of sat nav here, and also behind the instrument cluster, is going to glow blue. So if you want to do that, make sure when you're painting your body you mask off in those areas so you don't get any paint on the Lexan at all. Basically the LEDs are just stuck down on the body shell, shining at the back of the stickers. A bit of wiring done on the front light buckets now. So the main headlights, these 5mm white LEDs, there's a 150 ohm resistor in there in the heat shrink. And I'm just wiring up the indicators now. Now there's this very fine black wire. If you can find this on eBay and model shops. It's the kind of stuff they use on model railways. It's probably about 1mm diameter, but it's nice and small, so it doesn't take up too much room inside the body shell. But it is really fragile. When you've soldered your joints onto your LEDs, if you are building your own lights, do back that up with heat shrink over each wire and then heat shrink together. It just gives you a lot more mechanical strength on your joints, and I'll be plaster dipping all that later on. So main front lights are wired up. I guess we could give that a run now. Now it's safe for me to do this because although this is a 6 volt source, I have got resistors in the circuit already, so I'm not going to blow anything up. Right, so that's the main headlights plugged in on a temporary test source to show what they're like. So there we are. Really happy with those chrome LED holders, they work really well. Right, also to show you wired up now, you see on the dash there, and on the kind of the sat nav thing, that's now glowing blue. If I disconnect power, there we go, that's off. That'll be wired into the main headlight circuit, so when I turn the main lights on, we'll get instrument lighting inside as well. Right, so moving on to the rear LEDs, what I'm trying to do is to take one of these standard axial Rubicon body shell black plastic kind of fake light clusters, which has a sticker on it, and make it into a live light cluster. So what I've done is actually mounted LEDs into that. It was really fiddly, but I think it's going to be worthwhile. That would normally go on the corner, let's turn this over, on the corner of your body shell, on there and that side, and that would sit about there. And then you've got 2 holes that go through the body shell, and then there's a little piece of plastic like this, and that has a screw in it, and that goes on the inside of the body shell, and this goes on the outside and it clamps it on. I can't fit that on there because I've got an LED in the way. I'll work out how that's going to fit, probably with just a bunch of glue. But I just wanted to tell you how I got this set up. Initially start with a black piece of plastic, do not put your sticker on it yet, work out where you want your LEDs to go. I've got a 5mm one in the centre, and then 2 3mm LEDs at the top and 2 more 3mm LEDs at the bottom. So I just measured up with a ruler and then eyeballed where I wanted them to go. I started off using a body reamer just to mark and just drill in a tiny little hole, enough to get a drill started, and then I drilled these out, 3mm drill at the top, 5mm at the bottom. Be careful when you're drilling, you don't want to work the hole out too large, you want the LED to be a good friction fit when you slide it in. So that was making the holes, that didn't go too bad. Obviously take your normal sort of drilling precautions, don't hold it like this and drill through and drill into your hand and stuff like that, put it on a piece of wood or something. Once I got those in, then I had to work out how to fix the LEDs. So they are a friction fit in the back, but I've ended up gluing them. The glue I've used is by Evo Stick in the UK, called Serious Glue. It's kind of like shoe goo or fender mender if you get that kind of stuff in the States. But before putting the LEDs in and finally gluing them, you need to put your stickers on and cut the holes. Now, a really good way to get nice clean holes cut around the LEDs is put the sticker on and then hold the black unit up to the light, and you'll see the light shining through where the holes are you've drilled. Take a body reamer or maybe a pin or the edge of a scalpel and just pierce through each hole. Don't put your body reamer in or a drill. Don't try and drill the sticker out, because it'll just rip it and make a mess. Just a small cut, and then if you've got one, a small round file, and then you actually just slide that in the hole and sort of push to the edge of the hole and work around, and keep sliding in as a cutting stroke, and then come back with no force. Slide in again, and you'll find that the file actually rips the sticker but really cleanly around the hole, and you can just get a really nice clean cut. If you don't have a round file, then you can try using something like a nice sharp scalpel or an X-Acto knife and trim round. A lot more filing than I was expecting, but there we go. It's not stuck in yet, it's just pushed in. So there's the rear light. Quite a big hole, but hey ho. Alright, 16 lengths of the wire cut. If anyone wants to know, the wire I'm using from the UK, it's from Rapid Electronics. It's 10 by 0.1mm black, has a 100 meter roll. Got it on eBay, and now I've got to strip all the ends off. Thank goodness I have, and I really do recommend get yourself one of these, automatic wire stripper. Otherwise I could spend the best part of a day stripping all of these wires off. Right, so I've got both the rear light clusters all soldered up now. Lots of the 1mm diameter wires, lots of heat shrink. So what I've got here is the two 3mm LEDs in series, and there's a 120 ohm resistor in there. So that's going to be powered off a 6-volt source, and same on the other side for running lights, and they're going to be switched by the HOK controller. And then in the middle we've got, off of this circuit here, we've got the 5mm red LEDs. Now they're going to be powered, hopefully, off the 3 racing LED controller once I sort out my radio gear. It's not working at the moment because of a problem with frame rate. So there's the brake light, and then down the bottom we've got 2 other channels, 3mm LEDs for indicators and reverse lights, and none of those have resistors on, because everything going through the 3 racing LED controller has already got resistors in the controller. The rear light fittings are now permanently installed. I decided to go for hot glue in the end. Other glues would have taken too long to dry, and I didn't want to have to mess around with fitting them and bracing them in some way while the glue dried. So what I did was just feed all the wires through, get the hot glue gun out, splurge a load of hot glue all around, kind of hold it up like this so the glue ran down onto the joint, and sat there with my thumb holding the light fitting right onto the body shell and just blowing on it for 10 minutes to cool the glue down as quickly as possible. And it seems to have made a nice strong bond. Hot glue, it doesn't flex much, so I don't know whether or not I'm out on the trail this might flex and crack off. Have to see how it goes. So now I need to get all these wires running down to the middle of the body shell. The body shell's got 2 coats of Plastidip inside to protect it at the moment. I'm going to put another probably 2 or 3 just to get a bit of extra thickness. I've also noticed on the body shell, when I've been putting it on and off the truck, just underneath these white sections here that I've just glued on, there was a little mark, a little tear in the Plastidip on both sides, and that's where the floor pan has just been catching. There's like an edge on the floor pan. So what I've done there is there's just some sections of Lexan that I've glued on just to give it something to rub against. So all the wires are looking good. Up front, these indicator wires are very close to the floor pan. So I've just had to twist those inwards slightly, but they should be okay there. So what I'm doing now, or what I've just finished doing, is putting some coloured heat shrink on the ends of all the wires so I know what's what. I've got a colour coding system going on here for my main headlights in blue, indicators in yellow, and so on. The reason for that is all of these wires I'm now going to group together and wrap in heat shrink tubing to give them extra protection and to tidy them up. Obviously I'm going to have lots of black wires and I don't know what they are, so all the ends that are going to come out in the middle of the body shell have now got colours on them so I know what they are.